I've been building machine learning algorithms for over 8 years now, and I've been doing data science for more than 20 years. And with all the hype around AI, what I will show you now may surprise you a great deal, may even shock you. I will show you some deficiencies of these AI models, major deficiencies. So the takeaway will be, and you'll see that, is not that AI is all powerful. It is not. It has severe flaws. It will not conquer humanity, no matter how much they scaremonger you, at least in the foreseeable decades, okay? Yes, it is an extremely powerful tool. You must use it. If you don't use it, you will probably fall behind. You will very likely fall behind. But you must use it properly. You must use it in the areas where it has its strengths, and you have to avoid its weaknesses. Therefore, you have to use these tools and work with somebody who really understands what they're doing. In short, will large language models, ChatGPT and so on, take your job? No, if you do it properly, if you use them as a tool, if you use them properly and you understand their weaknesses. On September 28th, and by the way, you can sign up to the free live event on this page. Just click on the link to sign up. It's free. On September 28th, I'm going to show you one of the weaknesses of these models called adversarial examples. Basically, examples that are chosen to trick the model or to confuse it. And the model breaks down on very, very simple cases in that situation. But now I'm going to show you one major problem that not a lot of people talk about. For some reason, almost nobody knows. Even people who work with machine learning models seem to not understand this. And I'm going to show it to you right now. Let's look at ChatGPT 4. It is the most powerful model that is out there. So we can assume that if ChatGPT has this problem, everybody else does. So why will ChatGPT not take your job? Well, most people don't realize, even people who work in this space who talk about AI hype all the time, they don't understand how these models work, and they don't understand some severe flaws in them. And so when you hear talk about large language models or ChatGPT replacing financial advisors, do not be worried about that. Right? Be worried about other advisors using those tools to take your market. That's possible, but the model itself has severe problems, and I'm going to show you what they are. So I'm going to do a very, very simple question. Okay, very simple question. So let's go to ChatGPT 4. We all know that that's the most powerful model. And I'm going to say this: sort the list of companies by yield in descending order. And there's yield right there. Okay, this is the simplest, one of the simplest tasks you can give it. So it must do that, right? Because supposedly it passes MIT exams and all this stuff. And look, it tries to write some Python code. I don't know if it really executes that code, actually. I'm not sure. But it does write Python code, which you would think that it gives you the right answer. And for most of the list, this is okay, right? You can see 6.39, then 3.25, 3.21. But there are two mistakes in this short list. You see number 18 has a yield of 0.23 and number 19 has a yield of 0.56. So it doesn't know how to sort, okay? This model does not know how to sort. This is really, really important because sorting from lowest to high is one of the most basic concepts. It's more basic than like arithmetic, okay? ChatGPT 4, the model with a massive number of parameters, right? Billions and hundreds of billions of parameters, does not know how to do that, is not able to do that. That is because in the next lesson, right on this page, there will be a lesson 2. I will explain exactly how these models work. So you will understand why it cannot do that. But you can actually try this trick. You can go to ChatGPT 4 and try to come up with a list and ask it to sort it. And very frequently you will make mistakes. If you ask a more complicated question, like a 2-step logic question with sorting and arithmetic, very frequently you will make mistakes. So therefore, there are types of tasks that these models are absolutely horrible at, and you don't want to use them, okay? So if somebody tells you that they will build a ChatGPT model for kinds of tasks that have to do with financial planning or trading or something like this, you have to be very, very wary. You have to, if you're using these tools, work with experts, work with people who understand their flaws, right? So this is one flaw, and I showed you only the most basic one. It cannot sort. It cannot do many, many arithmetic tasks. In fact, I'll show you a paper, a scientific paper, which is a very interesting one. Is it possible to teach such a model to do math? Okay, so this is contrary to what you hear, right? Because everywhere you hear that this model, these ChatGPT passes MIT exams, which is a complete fraud. It does nothing like that. It can pass some multiple choice exams in math for sure, but it cannot pass real math exams. Like it failed exams, for students in Singapore for sixth grade or something like that. So these scientists studied it extensively. Here's what they came up with. They classified math arithmetic tasks into learnable and unlearnable. So they came up with the conclusion that unlearnable tasks are essentially large number multiplication and division. So when you divide by a number that is more than one digit, for these models, it's mostly unlearnable. They will always make mistakes. And again, in the next video, and also on September 28th, I will explain to you exactly why. Okay, so my premise is that you cannot ignore this technology. I worked at it for a long time. I've used it successfully. I know its weaknesses, right? But you need to understand where it's strong, and I'm going to tell you in the next lesson, and where it's weak. Because some people might say, Daniel, you're crazy. You're basically building software for advisors using these algorithms. Yes, I do, but I'm pointing out a flaw, right? A hammer, right? A hammer can hammer nails. But there's also a jeweler's hammer for jewelry. You will not want to hammer nails with it. So you need to know when to apply which hammer. And that's exactly what I'll show you on September 28th. And in this short lesson, which I thought I explained to you, you'll now understand one of the major weaknesses of large language models. I want to cover one more thing. It has to do with the weakness of the models. It has to do a little bit more with adversarial examples. We're going to cover them in more depth on September 28th.